Safe is an escrow app for e-commerce transactions with the goal of preventing scams and fake transactions online. Alfred Cardenas is founder and CEO at Safe. So hello Alfred. We're very happy and honored to have you dito sa Startup Podcast.
Hi, the pleasure is mine. Ayan.
Yes.
Hi sa mga viewers as well.
Yes, actually, so you launched your new startup, Safe. Pero recently, just last year, I think December, your previous startup actually also got acquired. So maybe pwede natin pag-usapan din yan dito sa conversation na to. But let's start with the first question, Alfred. Ano nga ba ang Safe?
Ayan. So Safe is basically an escrow style payment for e-commerce and personal transactions. So basically an escrow service. So para yung third party na trusted third party na kami, yung Safe app, yung maghahawak ng payments ng buyers until the buyer receives the order. So just in case na si seller na kausap mo online na hindi mo kakilala is actually a scammer, we'll be able to return your payment. So yun yung ginagawa ni Safe.
Yeah, so Safe, parang it deals with security of transactions. Kasi come to think of it, ang daming nangyayaring online transactions. Pero yeah, if we come to think of it, wala pa atang third party na kumbaga nagpo-provide ng escrow service. Kumbaga escrow, kumbaga hawakan niyo muna yung pera, then pag okay na both sides, pag nagbayad na both sides basically, tsaka na i-release, parang ganun siya nag-work. Pero before we talk about Safe, kasi I know this is very interesting, you just launched this, I think just this month, pag-usapan muna natin si Jungle. So si Jungle, your previous startup that got acquired, it's actually registered in Singapore and in the Philippines, and it actually got acquired for $1 million. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like $1 million valuation. Correct me if I'm wrong. So can you know more about this startup and can you know like the story, the journey? Yeah.
Yes, sure thing. Yan. So si Jungle, isa yung buy now pay later fintech startup. So I started it last December 2018. Ayan. The reason why I started Jungle is because I'm actually a customer ng isang leading gadget loan a company here in the Philippines. And I wasn't impressed by how buy now pay later was actually being done in the Philippines in 2018. The reason why is because I had to fill up and sign a lot of paper documents, like kakapal na application forms. And then I have to disclose my relatives, my coworkers, my friends' contact number, which is actually in direct violation sa kanilang privacy, right? You have no choice. Back then kasi I was an insurance sales agent. So I really need that device that I bought through this gadget loan service. So tinanong ko yung sarili ko, is there a better way to do buy now, pay later dito sa Philippines? Can I digitize it so that I can make the whole process scalable and easy for users? And can I change the way I collect from my users? Kasi medyo harassing yung way ng pagko-collect ng competitors namin. So that's what I did. I was a solo founder back then. I actually applied for the Idea Space program. I was actually rejected. Then I tried my luck raising funds from local angel investors. And yun, bali, rejected din ako. So ako kasi yung tao na hindi basta-basta sumusuko. So I tried my luck actually sa Singapore. So I applied for this startup program called Antler. So third batch yun that time, 2019. I was the only Filipino sa batch na yun. Doon ko nakilala yung aking co-founder and CTO. And then
who's not a Filipino, right? Tama ba?
No. He's actually a Colombian.
I see.
Then after nung 3-month program, Antler decided na hindi sila mag-invest sa mga fintech startups. So I was broken again. So wala pa rin kami funding. So what I did is I reached out to 200 investors in Singapore.
How did you do that?
Via LinkedIn.
Okay, I see.
So the first 197 investors actually said no. Yung pang 198 to 200 to 200 investor, yun yung actually nag-invest ng $125,000 as pre-seed fund. So yun. So yung mga investor namin is the previous global CEO of DHL, the actual investor, one of the investors of Antler as well, and then isang angel investor na Spanish. And so, and then we went back to the Philippines. We secured our lending license. We got interviewed by Y Combinator. They actually wanted to invest, but the reason why they declined is because hindi aabot yung lending license namin sa demo day. So wala kaming mapapakitang progress. So that's the why they declined. But it was a fun experience building a startup abroad and in the Philippines. And then the actual day na nag-launch si Jungle dito sa Philippines, it was actually the same day that the former President Rodrigo Duterte actually declared a lockdown. Yung first lockdown. And yun din yung saktong araw na nag-launch si Jungle app, which was originally for gadget and travel buy now pay later. So hindi na nagme-make sense, hindi na kami biglang So we did is we partnered with one of the leading grocery chains in the Philippines to offer the very first grocery now pay later. And leading pharmacy chains sa Philippines for the medicine now pay later, which is actually relevant during the pandemic. So that's how we started. And then last December 2022, we actually got acquired for an eight-figure deal. Ayan. So yung na-investan kami, that was our valuation, 1 million. But nung na-acquire kami, it's a different valuation.
Just a short question, like when you pitch to the investors and when you got the 198 kumbaga that you've tried, they say kasi in a startup, like when getting funded, getting investors, merong parang different factors on why the investor probably like invested on the startup. It can be like the product itself, or maybe the timing, or maybe the founders, the team. So like just in your perspective, parang what do you think made them say yes kumbaga sa
So I actually asked the lead investor for Jungle that time. So he was the former CEO of DHL, global CEO. And he told me that the reason why he invested is because of the team's passion and perseverance. Kasi nga, 198 investors said no, but we're still... Another thing na nagustuhan niya is, I'm just a high school graduate, right? And I don't have experience, but I have the audacity to try new things, to learn new things as quickly as possible para magawa namin yung goal na sinet namin for the company. And then yun yung mga reasons. And actually the market is huge here in the Philippines. But for some reason local investors just simply cannot understand the potential of the business. Even me as a CEO. So syempre mahirap din naman na pagkatiwalaan yung gaya ko, high school graduate. So I definitely understand. But if you go outside the Philippines, the investor appetite is totally different.
Yeah, actually, like there's actually data, no? There's statistics na medyo may onting advantage when it comes to that. But anyway, I think nagre-reflect yung passion kasi like when you launched the Jungle app in the Philippines, that was the time of the COVID-19 lockdown. So, kumbaga, nag-pivot. Ito talaga yung gusto ng mga... I'm not sure, but I think these are like what investors really look for. Like, I mean, finding a way out. Always finding a way out. Anong mangyari. And then, going up to the acquisition, I mean, parang what do you think made Jungle be acquired? I mean, is it like a sound business model? Like a true model? So, can you just share your opinions on that?
Yeah, absolutely. But, however, I signed a strict NDA, so I cannot.
Sure.
But in a nutshell, so Jungle has the infrastructure. Jungle has both technology, both user base, and both regulatory infrastructure in place. So it was actually a strategic decision of the acquirer to enter the Philippines that way, instead of like going with the step one, parang masyadong matrabaho. So Yeah, and it's all about closing the deal. It's all about finding win-win situations pagdating sa mga ganyang klaseng high and high value and very intense negotiations.
But it's really interesting actually your journey and actually your story. Like you're really passionate about building stars. Maybe actually like building products that really solve problems kasi now you're actually building your next startup. Also on the fintech industry, also medyo same na I mean, di same na ginagawa pero medyo same domain safe. So why now after like that previous why not just rest? I mean, why not just maybe do different things? Why build another startup kumbaga? Is this really like you really want to build and build and build new startups?
Oh, actually, that's a good question. Yung after namin ma-close yung deal, my co-founder actually asked me, so are you going to build another startup? And I actually said, hell no. I mean, I don't want to like experience the same stress, the same rejection. And then after the Jungle acquisition was closed, so bumili ako ng bahay for myself and my wife. And may nakita akong dining set sa Facebook Marketplace. And I was actually got scammed. So mukhang legit si seller. Hindi naman recently created yung kanyang account and mga real people yung kanyang friends. And he actually sent a courier link, a tracking link. And then it turns out after he sent 50% of my down payment, he canceled the booking. So this actually made me realize that the current system could actually be gained by bad actors like the seller that I met online. So my wife actually asked the question, since Jungle was supposedly yung payment sa akin ng Jungle acquisition dapat via escrow din. So my wife asked me if there's like an escrow style payment for e-commerce. May sanang matutulungan yung ganong klaseng app. And then I mean, din na pumasok sa isip ko, I have the experience in the same field. I have the network, both investors, employees, and fellow founders of fintech industry. So I said, why not? I mean, let's try to build safe here in the Philippines. So
actually, so kung hindi pala nangyari yung scam na yun, maybe hindi ipinanganak si Safe right now. So I don't want to say thank you to that. I mean, pero I mean, ang startup founder pag nakakita ng problem at na-experience niya, he really wants to solve it as well for other people. I think kumbaga, solve the problem for yourself and also for others and build kumbaga the product that scales kumbaga. Pero do you imagine, so now parang you want to build Safe because of this problem So do you imagine ba na parang like in the future e-commerce ay dadaan lahat kumbaga sa Safe, may escrow lahat ng Safe? I mean, it's just what to imagine like a really secure online transaction ecosystem dahil escrow lahat kumbaga. And is the tech ready now? Like have you built the tech to do this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, future ng ganitong klaseng style ng payment is actually bright for me. Although meron naman na tayong COD infrastructures with the leading e-commerce platforms, but we're not targeting those market. I'm actually targeting high ticket purchases. Gaya nangyari, for example, an iPhone, an iPhone, actually, gaya ng mga furnitures and stuff. So currently, I launched the Safe MVP on my birthday last May 10th. So yun. So I'm actually a solo founder right now, but I'm looking for a technical co-founder. But the MVP is already built, and we're going to facilitate the first closed launch. Since one of the challenges ng Safe is most Filipinos are not familiar with how escrow works.
Yeah.
So it's not about convincing them that the technology is actually good. It's about educating the users about the advantages of using escrow. Ayan.
Actually, me personally, I just learned about the term escrow just maybe like a few years ago dahil sa, sorry to say, another crypto company, Binance. Yung mga crypto company na may peer-to-peer trading, kumbaga peer-to-peer transactions kasi pag peer-to-peer, pag kumbaga normal person na may cellphone, na may online, na may internet connection, peer-to-peer, doon nangyari yung scams eh. Kasi nasa tiwala ito eh. I mean, hindi na ngayon like meetup. Dati kasi meetup eh. I mean, I remember dati pag bibili ka sa Multiply, sa mga ganyan, sa mga online stores, no? Meetup. So, makikita mo yung kausap mo, magabayad ka, makukuha mo yung item. But now it's online, magabayad ka, i-deliver sa'yo. Doon pwede mag-cross kasi nagbayad ka, had down payment, mawawala na, di ba? So actually, ang dami ko naririnig na ganyang scam. So I know that it's really like a true problem. But do you imagine this like to be, you said the high-end, kumbaga high-end items? Will this be like really for peer-to-peer? Or do you see something like for business-to-business transactions? I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, actually, I'm trying to see if there's a play for Safe to become like an e-commerce payment plugin. For example, like the leading e-commerce platforms where you can, build your own
Good.
right? But you can simply install Safe plugin as a seller so that you can facilitate safe payments and generate more trust with your users.
Okay.
So that is another play. But for now, we're doing the peer-to-peer thing that you mentioned. And then that will be the next product iteration down the line. Kapag na-prove na natin that there is a market there as well.
Yeah, but that's actually interesting. Ano? Parang e-commerce, kumbaga, na may escrow feature. I mean, it's really like that. And see, let's just imagine, like maybe, so you've launched the MVP right now, ano? So let's just imagine, like if may nakikinig ngayon na gustong gumamit nga ng Safe as an escrow, as a third-party escrow app. So he finds a seller in the Facebook Marketplace, for example. So paano mako-connect, kumbaga, yung transaction doon sa Safe app? I mean, how does it work, kumbaga?
Yeah. So right now, the first version of the MVP, so kapag you as a buyer finds a seller online, ikaw mismo yung mag-initiate ng deposit sa Safe app. So si buyer mo na yung mag-initiate. So for example, so you will sign up sa Safe, you will deposit your payment sa Safe, and then the seller will get notified via text, email, and via call na nag-deposit na si buyer. That way, kapag ganun na, mag-generate na ng trust and confidence si seller to ship or to meet up with the buyer. Kasi kahit sabihin mo naman meet ups yan, ang hirap naman magsayang ng oras and pamasahe, tapos pagdating doon, wala naman yung buyer, right? So we're protecting both sides. So ganun muna siya. But once we get out of the MVP phase, the seller could also make a safe transaction naman. So baliktaran. So para both parties could generate trust. Kung sino man yung may lacking ng trust, so the other party will have to initiate a safe transaction.
And just to throw just maybe like the business model behind it. I just imagine maybe it's like I'm not sure, parang may added fee, kumbaga, for that escrow service. Is that right? Parang do you imagine it like that?
Yes. So the plan is to charge 2.5% transaction fee on both sides. The reason being is that because pinoprotect natin yung both sides. So for example, ganito, so ikaw ay isang buyer and na-prove natin na scam si seller. And you got your money back, less 2.5%, no? So that is better than losing 100%.
Of course.
So I think it's just a matter of educating Filipino users who are not familiar with escrow that the service is not about making successful transaction, but the Safe is here to make sure that you get your money back if the seller is a scammer. And the other way around, if the buyer is a scammer, you get paid or you get your product back kung mababalik pa ng courier. So yun, parehas naman siyang win-win situation basically.
So sama parang siya nagiging insurance, kumbaga, insurance against scams, kumbaga. You also mentioned earlier, no, with Jungle din. Parang you've told your story with the Y Combinator na hindi abot yung lending license. Just, I'm not sure kasi with the fintech space, I have totally no idea. Pero for Safe, do you also need like a certain license, or do you need like a certain approval from BSP maybe, or from whatever regulatory body para kumbaga kayo yung maging third party escrow up for e-commerce transactions?
Yes, actually we need a license, so operator of payment systems license, or what you could from the BSP, unlike sa lending license na sa SEC kukunin. But what I really like about the payment space is that in order for you to get the OPS license from the BSP, you need to run some tests muna. So you need to have traction before you apply for an OPS license. Ngayon, kapag meron ka ng traction, you have data that the BSP could use, you can now apply for the OPS license online. And immediately, you will get the provisionary OPS license hanggang while you're still waiting for the actual OPS license. So this way, yung mga payment startups here in the Philippines could actually operate from day one and test the market before you invest a lot of money, right? But in the lending space, Mr. Jungle, you really need to hire expensive lawyers day one. You don't know you can always secure users sa lending space because everybody wants money, right? But it's the most challenging part about this business, the lending space, is can you collect money? Can you collect your money back? That is the actual challenge here. Yun. So regarding regulations for the payment space, we just need OPS.
Yeah, I think it's like a chicken and egg problem, kumbaga. Kasi, I mean, do you need a lot of users to get a license? But to get license, you need it's a chicken and egg problem. Pero right now with Safe, I mean with the MVP, how do you plan to get users? I mean, how did the launch go? And kumbaga, what's your plan basically to gain more traction, to gain more users?
Yeah. So as an avid follower of Y Combinator, so the first step is for us to do a closed launch. So controlled muna siya for 10, 20 transactions from my first degree network. The reason being is that yan nga, since Escrow is a service, na hindi familiar yung mga Filipinos, we need to find your early adopters na familiar na sa Escrow. Because it doesn't make any sense for you to acquire hard to get users, right? Ganun muna siya, and then we will grow from there. So basically, if you start with 10 users and then you grow 10% week over week, then magdadagdagan ka ng isa, dalawa, tatlo, and then next thing you know, you have 1,000 users. So ganun lang siya. Yun yung minsan the disconnect sa mga local investors, or not even local, even in international investors, na they really wanted to when they see a very small transaction, para sa kanila, maybe hindi to maganda idea. No, sometimes you just need to do things that don't scale muna. Kasi at the back end of the Safe MVP, I am doing some manual work. So actually, I'm the one processing the payments by myself. So imagine if I onboarded like 10,000 users, how could I do it by myself, diba? So for now, the only thing that we need to prove is gumagana ba yung ganong klaseng system. And then after we prove that the escrow style payment system actually works, the next thing for us is to see how big the market is. Research says it's big and it's growing, but you still need to run some real world tests.
Yeah, just to think about it, are you familiar kung merong like similar third-party escrow service like sa ibang bansa? Kasi like in the Philippines, you mentioned the education part na actually totoo na ang daming online transactions sa Pilipinas. I mean, I think that's given na ang daming Pilipino bumibili online. Ang dami rin nasa scam. Maybe I don't have the data, pero I can imagine. So yeah, what's your idea about this specifically? Like and also like in the future, ba do you plan to also like kumbaga provide this product somewhere else, or focus on the Philippine market? What do you think about that?
Yes. So actually, just to inform you about how big the problem is. In 2022, according to TransUnion, there is a 236% year-on-year increase sa shipping fraud sa Philippines alone. Shipping fraud means after ma-receive ni seller yung payment, hindi niya siniship yung product. 26% year-on-year increase. That's how big the market is. And it's still growing. So right now, there's an indirect competitor outside the Philippine market called TrustTap. Trust. Yeah. So basically, I've learned about TrustTap probably 2 days ago because nung nakuha ko yung safe idea, hindi naman siya dahil may gantong startup sa ibang bansa, gawin natin sa Philippines. No, it came organically because it happened. Yun. So to answer the question, yes, meron naman kagaya ng safe sa ibang bansa. Actually, in Ireland siya, but they actually expanded sa Malaysia and other countries. So for us, sa strategy ng safe is to also grow outside the Philippines. So sa napag-usapan natin kanina about how I set up the legal entity ng mga companies ko before. I commonly registered the parent company in Singapore or in the US, and then that parent company will own the operating market. So starting in the Philippines, so yan siya. So before we expand, of course, we have to nail the Philippine market first, and then grow from there. But we will definitely not stay just here in the Philippines.
Yeah, but I have to say I'm really amazed, no, kasi ang dami, I mean, all of this you learned really from scratch, ano, kasi I mean, you don't study these things, you just applied, kumbaga, program, antler, program to program to program, and then is it right that you just basically like did all of this by yourself, learn from your mistakes? I mean, how did the journey go? I mean, or do you also like, I mean, how was the learning process as well for like building startups? I mean, do you also learn from mentors, or do you just learn from your mistakes?
Yeah. Well, you learn a lot from your mistakes. It's number one. So the reason why I don't easily give up sa isang idea is because when I hit a setback, it's just for me, the way I look at things is isa lang yung learning curve for me, right? So in order for you to learn, you have to combine both yung experience mo and how you need to learn how to learn, right? The reason, I mean, one of the things that I see from local founders here in the Philippines is that they try to incorporate what they learn in the corporate world. That's why hindi make sense si when I started. That's why it's not making safe doesn't make sense at this point. But that's the beauty of startups kasi. So you have to learn, and not because it doesn't make sense now, it won't make sense in the near future, right? Look at Airbnb. When they started, it doesn't make any sense to actually rent your spare bedroom to a stranger.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't make any sense, but look at them now. So you really have to learn from your mistakes, and you really have to learn by doing things. So I don't have any mentors, but from the Antler program, binibigyan kayo ng isang coach naman eh. But you still have to do things on your own. For them, they just provide feedback about your week per week progress. So ganon. And there's a lot of free stuff online. Why Combinator Startup School is a free resource online. So dun pa lang ang dami mo nang matututunan. Yun.
Yeah, and I'm really curious now about the character. I mean, like your character. I mean, marami sa mga nakikinig ng podcast ay actually like young professionals or professionals who want to jump to the startup world. I mean, there's this barrier. I'm not sure. I'm not a startup founder. I'm just a podcaster. Pero I imagine that like if you're from the corporate world, or you're a fresh graduate or a graduate, and then may barrier talaga into starting and building your own startup. But how was that for you? I mean, now you're parang narinig natin yung kwento na you started a startup, you've built it, you've learned a lot. Pero how was the initial jump, kumbaga? I mean, and why startup? Why not like work in the corporate maybe? Why choose to be in the startup world?
Yeah, one thing you need to learn about me is that I hate bosses.
Yeah.
Not about pride. I don't know what it is, but there's something in me that, ayoko lang na meron akong boss for some reason. And that's one thing. That's why hindi ako nagko-corporate job since before. And then for me kasi medyo nagme-make sense kasi yung pag-shift ko from being a sales insurance agent to a startup founder. And tas high school graduate lang ako. I'm not trained formally trained sa business. So I don't have any existing structures sa isip ko about how business should be done, yada, yada, yada. So for me, I have a clean slate, and one of the beauty of, being an outsider sa isang industry is that you don't know what you don't know. So sometimes you do things differently. than those who are really familiar with how things should be done. So, isa sa mga natutunan ko sa Antler is to, yung ino-onboard na kaming mga founders is to unlearn all the things that you think you know about building a business. So, yun yung kailangan, you have to start with a clean slate. And if you think corporate world will work in the tech startup industry, I don't think so.
But that's a really good advice. Kumbaga. I mean, unlearn. I mean, sometimes we just say learn and learn and learn, but unlearn is actually a different and maybe a really beneficial thing to do. Kasi sometimes we have these biases na maaaring nakakahinder pa nga sa maaaring pagpapatakbo natin ng startup, kumbaga. Pero another question, so that's how you became a startup founder. Now, why FinTech? I mean, is it because you're previously a sales agent, or like meron mo something sa finance, sa FinTech industry that you really want to solve, that really kumbaga intrigues you? Why this space, kumbaga?
Yan. Yes. So before I became an insurance sales agent, I'm actually investing in the stock market before. During the times na call center agent, ako before becoming a sales insurance agent. So for me, since I wanted to learn more about finance, how I could make myself rich during those days na employee pa ako. Yun. So talagang fascinated ako sa finance, and that is actually a good idea space kasi ang daming potential ng Philippine market. Ang dami pa ring unbanked. I believe 6 out of 10 Filipinos are still unbanked. So if you would just, kung wala ka mahanap na organic idea to start a tech startup, I mean, ang dami mong mahahanap na potential ideas if you just look at the fintech space. So yun yung naging journey ko, bakit fintech yun napili ko. And for me, since I came from insurance and mutual funds, so it really makes sense.
Yeah, and that's actually true. I mean, if you just live your life as a Filipino, if you just do transactions, if you just like buy online maybe, or e-commerce, whatever, you will find a problem. And if you're really like that passionate startup founder, I mean, you find that organic problem and solve it. I mean, yeah. Thank you, Alfred, for this for this entire conversation. I mean, this is really amazing. Hearing all of this from you. Just a few final questions. Like, from Jungle. So Jungle was, you can consider it actually a very great success. Jungle, kumbaga, that was your first startup. You built it, ang dami nangyari, and it got acquired, and now you're building Safe. So now maybe this can also be used by our listeners as parang advice, or parang as something lessons maybe, or like parang words na makakatulong sa kanila. So what are like the successful things that probably you've done in Jungle that you will now do in Safe, and maaring kumbaga masubukan din ng mga nakikinig, So maybe just like general advice for startup founders, something like that lang, just to end our conversation.
Yeah, I think what I will do differently Safe is to never think small. Kasi when I got started sa Jungle, feeling ko the only thing that will make Jungle a success is kapag natanggap ako sa isang particular local incubator. You have to realize that not because investors said no, that they know everything about the space. No, it's actually not true. They simply don't know what they're doing as well. This is startup, right? You most of the time you don't know what you don't know. So
it's not new.
So wag mong i-take personally. Because if I took things personally, there's 197 rejections that I received. Wala na, nag-give up na ako. I'll just go back to the Philippines and work for someone else. So that's number one. And number two, the world is huge. Just go out there. I mean, you don't need the validation of other people. High school graduate lang ako. I don't have any experience. No, it's just about you trying to convince yourself that you're worthy and you are actually capable of doing things that you want to do in life. So, yun.
Wow, amazing. It's actually also inspirational, sa mga. Actually, I mean, I'm sure and I know na I don't want to say high school graduate lang. I mean, hindi dapat nila lang ang high school graduate lang. So actually, I mean, it's kumbaga a circumstance in life and take advantage of it and be successful. Yeah, so maraming salamat, Alfred. If our listeners want to know more about Safe, or invite them if you're looking for co-founders, investors maybe, or are you hiring? So invite them to try out Safe, or invite other people to join the team. So basically, just invite our listeners.
Yeah, sure. So if you are like a person na scam na before and you want to try the service, just go to joinsafe that app and simply sign up. After our beta launch, closed beta launch, we will do an open launch, so you could also try the service. And I'm also looking for a technical co-founder. I don't give uh, a cent about your experience. I just want to see how you think differently. Because if you think like everybody else, then you'll have the same result like everybody else. So yun. So if you're a local angel investor looking to grow your funds through startups, then maybe we could also talk and see how my experience could help you generate more money in the future.
Yeah, interesting. Maraming salamat, Alfred, for sharing about your journey, for sharing about Safe, and for sharing basically wisdom in the startup world. Salamat.
Thank you as well. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to our 32 patrons. This episode is super powered by TechShake, Asia's most active Philippine-based startup ecosystem builder creating bridges with investors, corporations, and governments. 1 CFO, tech-enabled CFO, bookkeeping, and tax services for startups and SMEs. Take 5 Outdoors, the best guided outdoor adventure tour in the Philippines. They specialize in hiking and mountaineering trips. Benjoy's Food Products, the home of premium bacon ends, tapa, and tocino. D-Buzz, Web3 microblogging app promoting freedom of speech and content ownership. Pinoy IP Works, capture your startup's value proposition through patent and trademark protection. Packetworks, the leading enabler and only Internet of Things social enterprise in the Philippines. Looking for buy and sell online with Sigurado sellers. And NutriCoach, the all-in-one productivity tool for dietitians and nutritionists. This episode is powered by Pareto Consulting, AltSwitch, ePlayment, Tuala, and Hive Energy PH. AskLex PH Academy is our official e-learning partner. Get certifications on Lean Six Sigma, project management, data science, and many more. Support the podcast through the links in the description.